Hi, and welcome to the second season of Regulatory Radio. I am Neha Ahuja, and you're listening to the sixth and last episode of Regulatory Radio, where we will be talking in brief about the advertising laws in regulated and semi regulated regions across the globe. Today, we are looking at the ad promo laws in Canada. The health authority in Canada is Health Canada. Health Canada states that when a prescription drug is advertised by its name to consumers, no reference to its therapeutic use or benefits can be made in that advertisement. The Advertising Pre-Clearance Agency, or the APA, within Health Canada must possess and make publicly available in both official languages the policies, the procedures, and the standards they use to ensure that their services comply with Health Canada's requirements. There are certain Canadian states that have a different set of regulations in addition to those from Health Canada. For example, in Quebec, the legislative restrictions on all commercial advertising directed at children are under the jurisdiction of Quebec's Consumer Protection Act. Health Canada dictates that advertisements must be aligned with the product's terms of market authorization, which is issued when Health Canada authorizes the sale of the product in Canada. Any claims about the performance or efficacy of a product must be based on adequate and proper testing, which should be conducted before those claims are made. Health Canada also employs certain directives set forth by the US FDA, and according to this Food and Drugs Act, no person shall advertise any food, drug, cosmetic, or device to the public as a treatment, preventative, or cure for any of the diseases, disorders, or abnormal physical states referred to in Schedule A1. No person shall advertise any drug in a manner that is false, misleading, or deceptive, or is likely to create an erroneous impression regarding its character, value, quantity, composition, merit, or safety. Health Canada encourages pharmaceutical organizations to use the APA's pre clearance services but does not make it mandatory. It may require a pre clearance review of advertising for certain products. Certain industry organizations, such as the IMC, do ask their members to submit materials to the APAs for pre clearance review, and failure to do so could result in a penalty. Many medical journals and general media publications also require pre clearance before they accept an advertisement. The Pharmaceutical Advertising Advisory Board is the main APA responsible for pre clearing advertisements directed to the HCPs, while Ad Standards is the main APA responsible for advertisements that are directed to the public. Either manufacturers or their advertising agencies can submit materials for approval and interact with the APA representatives. Once an advertisement is approved, the logo of the advertising pre clearance agency will typically appear on the advertisement. Health Canada uses the Food and Drugs Act definition for advertisement, which explains advertisement as any representation by any means whatsoever for the purpose of directly or indirectly promoting the sale or disposal of any food, drug, cosmetic, or device. The definition is also reproduced in various regulations made under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, the CDSA, which encompasses all types of paid advertising. A regulated market like Canada offers opportunity to create and market streamlined advertisements for pharmaceutical compounds. Comparative advertising of medicines is allowed, but under the conditions that the advertisements should not be misleading, deceptive, or create an erroneous impression regarding its character or safety. The Pharmaceutical Advertising Advisory Board, the PAAB, has set forth advertising standards for companies making drug comparisons. The PAAB standards ask advertisers to include in their advertisements the same indication for use, the same conditions for use, must not conflict with any of the terms of market authorization for any of the compared products. The comparison must also be of clinical relevance to humans and rely on conclusive evidence. complete and scientifically accurate, and not attack the compared drug in an unreasonable manner. The advertiser should follow these standards mandated by the PAAB. The Pharmaceutical Advertising Advisory Board is the advertising pre-clearance agency responsible for advertisements directed to HCPs. The general legislative requirement is that an advertisement will not be false, misleading, deceptive, or likely to create an erroneous impression. The key requirements of the PAAB for HCPs includes the indication from the product monograph must appear verbatim and at least once in the advertisement. The advertising content must be accurate, complete, clear, and designed to promote credibility and trust. The brand name, generic name, and the federal drug schedule must appear at least once in the advertising copy. Advertising must be presented in a manner that accurately interprets valid and representative research findings. Advertising must reflect an attitude of caution concerning drug usage with emphasis on rational drug therapy and proper patient selection. And advertising should provide sufficient information to permit the assessment of risk or benefit in a prominent manner. Over the counter drugs and natural health products are non prescription drugs. These can be advertised to the public but are subjected to the Food and Drugs Act and its regulations. The FDA regulations explain that the OTC drugs must be advertised as a measure of prevention for Schedule A diseases and not as a treatment or cure. The health and safety of consumers are considered of prime most importance. The advertising should communicate the use of the product in a manner that is consistent with the rules to allow consumers to make an informed choice. Scientific meetings and expositions are vital to the medical and pharma community's relationship. It is a space where ideas are discussed and collaborations are fostered that benefit the mass audience. To avoid a misuse of this vital space, there are regulations put in place to support ethical collaborations between HCPs and pharmaceutical companies. These regulations explain that 1. Pharmaceutical organizations can incur the expenses and honoraria can be paid to legible speakers and other presenters at scientific meetings. While the Innovative Medicines Canada Code prohibits such payments to attendees, the Canadian Generic Pharmaceutical Association Code allows for a payment of attendees' travel and expenses. HCPs are regulated provincially and are subjected to the rules and codes of ethics. These help prevent HCPs from accepting certain payments under the threat of misconduct proceedings. And finally, the PAAB allows the distribution of promotional materials related to the presentation to the attendees without requiring pre-clearance. If materials are to be further distributed, the distributing pharmaceutical company must ensure that the materials comply with all advertising requirements. Canada has succeeded with protecting their public's health by setting forth several advertising rules and regulations. A review of the advertising materials will for sure help advertisers with avoiding retractions and any type of non-conformation with the multiple rules and regulations by Health Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our sixth and last episode of Regulatory Radio. Wow, time really does fly by, especially when you're learning. We thank you for tuning into our podcast and look forward to bringing you another series of episodes covering different facets of regulatory affairs. As always, for any queries related to the Canada region, feel free to reach out to us in the comments section. You can also listen to the previous episodes by clicking the link pinned in the description box. Thank you for listening and see you soon.